welcome to the Boopcast episode 10. It's actually the Boopcast this time. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
I don't know if that's the right way.
Isn't it the other way?
I don't know.
Right.
I can never tell because it's always the opposite.
You're this way for me. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't ask me. Yeah, so this is Boopcast episode 10. This is going to be a little bit different, this one, because you may have noticed in the title that we did have some special guests, but unfortunately they couldn't join us for the whole podcast because the only time we could talk to them was after office hours at Rooster Teeth, and they do have to go home to their families at some stage. So we did get to chat with 3 of the dev team on RWBY Grimm Eclipse, which was awesome. We interviewed them for about 40 minutes. And so before we do the normal podcast, I'm going to edit that interview in here as it was on Google Hangouts. So, yeah, enjoy. So thank you guys so much for being here, first of all, to chat with us about Grimm Eclipse. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So if you want to go down the line from left to right or whatever and introduce yourselves and what you did on the project of Grimm Eclipse.
I guess I'll go first. I got hired on as a 3D artist to make props and weapons and all sorts of things in the world. And then my role just sort of expanded from there, and I had to design a couple levels, and I also do most of the 2D art, like for marketing materials on the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store and all that fun stuff.
And your name
I'm
is?
Andy.
Yeah. Andy Cortez.
Andy. Yeah.
Jeff Chamberlain. I got hired about a year ago, so February of 2016. So I was there for a little bit over a third, like the final third of the project cycle, and I was one of 3 game engineers.
Awesome.
Your job never evolved? Just that?
Yeah. We started as a programmer.
Nice.
Now we're
Stayed
here.
that way. Yeah.
Nice. I'm Brian Reilly. I was associate producer on the team for a long time. I guess I was the 4th person hired at RT Games.
You were here super early.
Yeah, I was here early. Michael Jordan.
Michael, then Jordan,
Then Jordan.
then Casey,
Yeah,
then
okay,
Abe.
maybe Jordan Michael. Anyway.
Yeah.
So since then, I kind of have evolved off the team a bit and do a lot of board game stuff, but I still do a lot of community management as Skilltacular here and there on
Awesome.
like all the social media stuff. Yes.
And I asked Jordan to be here, the lovely man who created all this, the reason why we have jobs, and he was unavailable. So.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for being here to chat with us about the game. So we have some questions submitted by our viewers on RWBY Amino and Twitter. So Alfie on RWBY Amino wants to know if there's going to be a possibility for character customization in the game in the future.
Like create a player sort of stuff like that?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in the cards right now.
No.
It all comes down to, like, unfortunately, this is like sort of a supply and demand thing. Like, if enough demand is there, I think we would possibly explore that stuff. But right now, I don't think there's anything planned, anything like that.
No.
A lot of stuff like that requires like 40, 50-man teams.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 or 7 of us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think the answer for that will probably apply to a lot of other questions. Because we're just a really small team.
Yeah.
So we started with a core mechanic set, made levels that would fit that, and kind of expanded from there.
Yeah.
And a lot like Andy said, yeah, it's just supply.
I think we see a lot of stuff on Steam of, hey, it'd be cool if this, and like so many things that we see that the fans want. Like, yeah, that's stuff that we would love to add. It's just like
Resources.
sometimes it's just not possible with how many
resources
people we have.
and man hours and yeah, exactly. No, completely understand. This is probably going to be the same answer, but is there any possibility of a RWBY MMO in the future?
Oof,
In the future?
If it was, I don't know if it'd be.
It would be a different game.
Or it would be like by a team that's like really huge, or unless this team grows to like 50, 60, 100 people possibly.
Yeah.
Well, it's Rooster Teeth,
like
so
the
you never
animation
know.
team. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, cool. Cory, I think you've got a few more viewer questions over there, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lewis 294 asks, are there any plans to add more teams such as Team Sun in the future?
there's plans to do that, but again, we were basing that on how well Team Juniper did. It did pretty well, so we're still kind of talking about things like that and other possible DLC for the game as well.
I think those things are like, as far as we see it, a little bit more possible. But when people ask for like create a player, that stuff's just like definitely not like.
No.
But the prospect of adding more teams, I mean, Jeff was the lead engineer on Team Juniper, and so that stuff was really easy for you, right, to make? All that stuff?
So we launched in it was June or July.
It was our RTS.
Our full Steam launch, and we're working basically from the week following launch straight up until we actually launched Juniper, which I believe was in October.
Yeah.
And it was nonstop every day putting that team in. So it's no small effort getting a new team in. But
No, I can only imagine.
Of the questions that are there plans to put X in the game, that would be one of the ones that probably falls closer to the line of something that could happen. But as Brian said, it's all we're very much in a state of let's see how the game does and go from there.
Awesome. We love Team Juniper, but we'll talk a bit about them as well. Cory?
Okay, well, yeah. Pro Brandwin asks, would you guys like for the game to be available on mobile devices in the future?
Ooh, that'd be kind of tough.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be this form of RWBY.
No.
Unless mobile devices, you mean like Vita. But again, that would probably require a different team to work on that.
Yeah, we had an outside team that ported this game over to consoles. So Panic Button, who's a local company here in Austin, they ported the game to Xbox and PS4.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they are experts at just the porting process. So it shows you like how many different things you can do in the gaming industry, and they are like specifically a port company.
Yeah.
And so I think it like if like Nintendo Switch came and there was a lot of demand for that, that's something we might explore, but nothing definitive right now. I think running this game on like maybe a super high powered tablet, but I mean like a phone or anything like that, I don't think that would work necessarily too well. Jeff, what do you think? You're an engineering.
Yeah. Something like that would probably require almost rebuilding the entire game from the ground up.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty tough to do, but never say never.
You could do it in like a
suppose.
few weeks or
Yeah,
something like that.
Okay. Hannah Galbraith asks, who is everyone's favorite character to play and why?
Oh man,
I love this question.
Blake.
You've always loved Blake.
Since day one.
Yeah.
She used to be super broken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
she
part of me
was
is like,
really
okay.
underpowered, and you guys buffed her, and then she was awesome.
Yeah. I just always like how fast she can move around. And I think of the new ones, I like Rain a lot because he can also dart around. But I want to like Yang and Nora a lot, which I believe you're going to say Nora. Maybe. I don't want to spoil it, guys.
I know who you're going to say.
We should have newlywed game at this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jeff's favorite character.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
I think you're going to say Pyrrha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that
Love
I don't know that
Pyrrha.
Pyrrha's actually.
Pyrrha's
I'm glad to hear that. 'Cause
Oh,
I don't know. Oh, perfect. Yeah. I don't know how many people actually have Pyrrha as their favorite character in the game, at least. But I don't know, something about like checking that spear. I really enjoy. And Nora's my favorite character from the show. But I think it's like, and I tried so hard to like make her my favorite character to play, but I think maybe because she's my favorite character in the show, I couldn't like. It was never perfect enough for me, but Pyrrha, I just have a lot of fun with it. I love throwing her shield too and everything.
I think I'm
Pyrrha's
pretty
my
good with all the
favorite
characters.
character to play.
Awesome. I'm glad that it's not just me.
I love
I
Pyrrha.
think I'm pretty good with all the characters, but with Pyrrha, I'm definitely a little dusty. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, God. A dust
Oh,
reference.
God.
Oh, God.
Oh,
That was such a bad joke about her death.
boo.
Every day. This is every day in this office.
Your favorite character?
Man, I'm torn between. Honestly, this is like probably the least popular answer. But I love Weiss. I really do.
I love Weiss
and I
too.
think it's mostly because of the freezing aspect, and that never puts me towards the top score. But I know that I'm still like helping our team because I'm a team player, guys. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah.
But I like Weiss a lot, and Pyrrha. I mean, they all have really cool sort of. I love different things about all of them. I love Pyrrha's counter when it's upgraded because the shield goes everywhere, and like I love that Jeff added that. That's such a fucking cool thing.
Pyrrha's upgraded counter is like the best thing in the game.
Yeah, it's
so
really, really
awesome.
cool. I love Nora's ranged attack with her multiple grenades. I love that one. And I also like Ren's ultimate. And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely, I'm not being very
ass.
specific here, so I apologize.
No, that's okay.
You all did such a great job with making them.
Corey and I, Weiss is our favorite character from the show, and we love her in the game as well. Yeah. Corey?
The last question I have is from Young Bro, and they want to know what inspired the different attacks from the Grimm, such as the creeps burrowing underground and the Ursa's ground pound rocks.
Brian, you'd probably be the best person to answer that. 'Cause we both came in
When all that was done already.
Yeah, when all that was implemented.
I joined in February of last year, and then Jeff joined like 2 weeks later. So I
It
was
a week later.
we were in like for the last push of like what it was like 5 months or something like that.
Yeah.
4 months.
So a lot of that came from, if you watched RWBY the show, which you may have.
Yeah,
There's a
we've
lot of-
watched a little.
Yeah, like their aura bars. Like there's so much stuff that's just straight out of a video game. Like, and that's how Monty and Carrie and Miles and all of them got together. Like, it's just so inspired by video games. At least that side of it. And we were like, man, we kind of wanted a bit of that. We had like, man, what's a classic video game character? And we kind of talked about just, big bruiser or a little snaky dude.
Oh, yeah.
And we already had like the awesome creeps and the Beowulfs that they had those awesome claws. So why wouldn't they do some sort of
Mauling attack.
Yeah, some sort of mauling attack. So a lot of it was from the show, but some of it we were like, man, what's just a classic?
These are archetypes for video game characters.
Yeah.
That's the word you look for.
Archetypes.
Archetypes, yeah.
No skull.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question here to do with the delayed launch in Australia. So we saw on Twitter that there was a problem with ratings for the game on consoles in this country, and it's indefinitely delayed. So it got a mature rating, which I was very surprised at because I don't think there's anything M-rated about it. But our country's rating system for games is completely screwed. But yeah, just if there's any kind of information you can give us about that, I think a lot of people will be glad to hear of it.
I can speak on that. I sit right next to Andy Mesner. He's our senior producer, and he's been just taking charge of all that. He's done a kick-ass job. Got us through certification and all that.
Bunch of different launches.
So the ratings board in Australia is just, like you said, they're a little bit more particular about what's what.
They're nutters.
Yeah, better than that.
Be the first person to admit that.
Yeah, so like things like Team Fortress 2, which I think you could probably let some kids play Team Fortress 2.
Oh yeah.
They explode into pieces and bits. But I think that's rated differently down there as well.
It is. It's rated MA. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think technically, if you look, I think you were saying something.
They said it's a consistent amount of violence,
Well,
no matter what it is. Right?
I think Jeff looked at the ratings. He did some homework. We don't do that. And your M is essentially RT, kind of.
Yeah, there's like just when I was looking at it there for ESRB, there's a gap between the gap is like T is supposed to be 13 plus, N is supposed to be 17 plus, and M in Australia is right in between that at 15 plus.
Yes.
So there's sort of this gray area where I guess we kind of ended up falling in there.
But it's beyond that. There's this other little thing with Xbox One. It might be both systems, but it has parental controls. Like I don't want my little kid playing games rated M, which your M again is RT.
Yeah.
So you're technically saying I don't want my kids to play T-rated games, if you want to make that comparison. And we were like, no, we'll go back to the drawing board and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Long story short, we're working on it, and it should come out pretty soon.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know exactly what date. I could draw on a calendar. I can't say what date.
Yeah, no, obviously it's an important thing to make sure that the rating stays, for all ages. So we totally get that, and thank you for letting us know what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. We hear everybody, and we want it out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, RTX Australia is like in, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to RTX Australia.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
Very cool.
Say hi to our boss.
Yeah, our boss will be there.
oh, awesome. I will do. So I have another question. Do you have hopes to make more games in the future based on arty stuff or just original games in general?
No, this was it. Yeah, absolutely. That's we're always thinking about what the next project we might be taking on is, and all of us are, in addition to this being our career, it's of course a pretty big passion for everyone that's on the team. So we always are thinking about different game designs and stuff like that. So definitely hope to make games for the rest of my life, probably.
What about a sequel?
Well, I think the first game did pretty well, considering the development costs to, how well we did in sales. It's certainly something that the overlords, the founding fathers would love us to look into.
Yeah, I think a sequel would make sense if we were given a longer development time. I think that we want, when the game came out, we still had stuff that we wanted to do, and it's just we just couldn't do it. And I would hate to do a disservice to the fans and only come out with 2 characters. I'd love to put a lot more love into it.
So. I mean, with this game, we got the privilege of adding to the RWBY universe of Dr. Merlot. He's really awesome. Dave Fennoy is one of the coolest dudes and just an awesome voice actor.
He's such
I can't believe you got that voice actor. Corey and I have played The Walking Dead, and he voiced Lee in that, obviously, and we adore him. He's fabulous. So when we played the campaign for the first time, we heard his voice. We're like, he sounds really familiar. And Corey looked up and we're like, no, they did not.
Yeah, that's the reaction we were hoping for. Yeah.
Come time.
It was a really awesome moment. We were like, what?
Brought to you by.
He is the hula guy. Yeah. He still is the hula guy.
But when we got him, we all were high-fiving crazy. Couldn't believe it.
I bet. Yeah, he's an awesome voice actor. Obviously the fandom, as much as they demand more, we do appreciate your passion for making these games, and that you don't want to just make a sequel just for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so...
And we owe it all to Jordan, really.
And on that same token, though, I mean, if there's one thing I think that Rooster Teeth does really well, it's, listening to their fans.
Absolutely.
And, trying to make the content that the fans are asking for. So...
Yes.
Again, if it's something that you think you want, let Rooster Teeth know about it and get your voice out there, I guess.
To that note, what was kind of different, we were the new kids in the RT team, and all of the other departments are just cranking stuff out every week.
Yeah.
They're like little go-karts, and they can, the fans want this, we'll turn real quick. We're like this slow-moving cruise ship, and we'll get there eventually. And we had to plan so far out and ahead. We couldn't really pivot that much, as much as we'd want to, or add new content, or get rid of something else.
Did you just think of that? That's simile. That's a very good.
It's a good analogy. Right?
That's what I think about.
Yeah.
Have you said that before, or did that just come off the top of your head?
Great job, Ryan. You surprise me every day.
One question I've been itching to ask ever since it happened is, what was the decision behind changing the original character models of Team RWBY in the game to the rendered ones, and then back to what they are now?
I would love to answer this question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we're going for a look that sort of match the environment. So the environment is using sort of a realistic lit environment. Like, anything metal will shine like metal.
Yes.
Anything wet on the ground will be shiny. And so we really wanted the characters to fit in that world. And so we had, at the time, a contract artist who now works for the team, who eventually got hired. But he was given the task to recreate the girls in this realistic, while still having, if you look at the most recent Dragon Quest game, like, they're not completely flat shaded. They do have some contour to them. They have some shine on the metal, and anything leather will be sort of shiny.
Yeah.
And so not only to change the look and to have the matching environment, but to make them a lot less expensive, a lot less taxing on machines, because the old models were super inefficient, and
they were just the direct models from the show.
They were pretty much from the show, and that's awful because they had, in the show, everything's pre-rendered, so you don't have to worry about anything running in a real-time engine. And all of those models had like 11 to 12 textures, which is insane. Where any modern game, like Uncharted 4, Nathan Drake has like 2 to 4 textures. And he's like super high res and like awesome looking or whatever. Yeah. And so those models had 11 to 12 textures, which is just like, that's nuts. Really dumb. Yeah. So not only was it to get to match the look of the environment, but to bring them and make them a lot more efficient and less taxing on the system. And so now all the characters have like 1 texture, 1 to 2 textures, and they're a lot more efficient. And we were super stoked about the look. I loved it just because I'm a video game fan and I love the way that sort of stuff looks. And I'm always a lot more willing to see change in games. And unfortunately, a lot of the fans weren't. And
there was one thing
we understand that.
It was still in early access. We weren't done with them.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Their faces have not been rigged yet.
Oh, yeah.
So they had like the big eyes. They didn't have their battle faces.
Yeah.
So that was going to be next. But instead,
we had to pivot back. We got a lot of backlash. And we understand that we were messing with a really passionate community.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we weren't given the chance to make it right. Like we just we had to completely pivot, like Brian said. And it was something that threw off our development a lot because after the characters were done, we were going to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly we found ourselves having to rework these new characters into sort of the anime looking feel, which is like flat cell shaded outlines. And that added a lot of time, and it took away a lot from what else we could have possibly added into the game. And it was a big bummer to me. I think I worked on all the weapons, and Michael Washburn, who's a character artist, made all the characters. So we were super stoked on them. And then we had to sort of revert all of it. And it was a huge bummer, but we get it. Again, like Brian said, they weren't done yet. But we weren't even given the chance to say, hey, they're not done. Give us a sec to everything's still being developed. We are in early access. Like the levels aren't even fully done. We're still adding to the levels. We're still doing stuff here and there. So, but to a lot of fans, it was seen as like, oh, this is the way they're going to look at their final form. No thanks. And it was like, well, you got to give us a chance to sort of fix this. Hold on. Like we're not done. But yeah, that's my rant.
Kind of the beast of being in early access is the fact that people are playing a game that is, by definition unfinished. Which is something that like it's an idea that hasn't really, it's something you haven't really been able to do until the last 2-3 years maybe. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. And so it's something that I think a lot of development teams are starting to learn how to do, and trying to even get better at, how to deal with the feedback that you're getting from the community as they're playing this thing, and how to translate to them, what to expect and what's done and what's not done. And so in that respect, I think something that we've said a lot amongst ourselves in discussing the whole, everything that went down is, if people hadn't gotten to play with those old models, like the perfect models from the show, and gotten used to that look and used to playing the game with that, maybe the reaction to the models that we were putting in would have been a little bit different. But game design is iteration, 100%.
Yeah, a bunch of trial and error.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
that was something, an experience that we learned from, and I think we did a pretty good job of trying to resolve everything and find something that people actually liked and enjoyed playing. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for explaining that, because that actually, explained a lot about it for me. I was one of those people that when that happened, I kind of went, okay, this is weird, but I guess because it's RWBY's a show that has such an established, very fiercely passionate fan base. If you mess with our girls, we're gonna tear you to pieces.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's hearing all of that. It's a real shame that you didn't get to finish what you were gonna do there. But I guess it's a case of the fandom just needs to have faith that you guys, you know what you're doing. So Cory, I believe you had some. Do you have some more questions there?
No, I don't.
You don't? Oh, sorry.
Nah.
Oh, we're all done with those. Okay. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about the console launch. So RWBY Grimm Eclipse launched for PS4 and Xbox One, obviously on the 17th of January, which is really cool, and we've been waiting for it for a long time. I don't get to play it yet, unfortunately, but fucking Australia.
Come to America. Bunch of freedom over here. Okay.
I could go on forever about the game rating system in this country, but I won't. So how has the launch been? How's the reception been? And Team Juniper launched today as well, as I'm aware. So, how has the reception and the general, success of the launch been?
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
I'm in one of the Rooster Teeth PlayStation 4 community things, and I just see people posting all the time. And just to see the last couple of days of RWBY hype, and seeing people play it,
and,
so awesome.
There was a lot of people streaming on Twitch, which is really encouraging. So Juniper launched with on PS4 on day one, but for some reason Microsoft wouldn't let us release the DLC until today.
Yep.
Yeah.
So PS4 they had Juniper already, but I tons of people at work have been playing it too, and they're like, "Hey man, I've been getting really encouraging tweets of people finishing the game and sending me screenshots of their TVs at home,
Butter.
"Hey man, good job." It feels great to finally have it out there, and the console community is more of where I'm at, and so to finally see my friends and family playing that, it's really awesome.
it's surreal to see something that you've worked on the PlayStation Store.
It is, yeah.
And something that you spent so much of something that you're so intimately connected to, it's out there and people are playing it, especially when you've, as I'm sure I know you have, and I know you have grown up with video games. This is kind of, I feel like you've made it.
If I could tell 10-year-old Andy this, he'd
Yeah.
be freaked out. Yeah.
I woke up Tuesday morning, and I got up and was and I told my girlfriend, I was like, "Claire," and I ran over to the PlayStation, and it didn't come out till noon, but I was still, I was so excited. I went and checked the store. I was like, "Where is it?"
Panic mode.
Oh no!
Get on the phone.
But I was so excited. I've been lucky enough to work on a couple really cool titles, but this one, man, this is sweet because I just love this team so much, and it's just cool to see our work on our home TVs.
We did it.
We literally brought it home.
Yeah.
And we hope you're gonna like it.
We think you're gonna like it.
Obviously, as well, Rooster Teeth is a company that lives and breathes consoles. So, everybody's kind of been anticipating the eventual console release. It's been on Steam since, as you said, June of last year. And Cory and I got it day one of early access, and we've been playing it ever since. So we're incredibly familiar with the game. We've been waiting so long, when's it coming out on the consoles? And a lot of people that we that watch our Let's Plays and watch our podcasts, you know, they don't have it on Steam and they haven't played it until it's come out just now, and like that the fact that they've been missing out on that, you know. Grimm Eclipse is a whole like other section of the RWBY community, and it's, you know, it's really a cool thing to be able to play in a video game as the characters from a show that you love so much, and the fact that you've done them such great justice with, you know, the way they control and the way the game plays, and, you know, fighting all the Grimm with the characters is just like, for huge RWBY fans, is the coolest thing ever. And we love Team Juniper. I want to talk a bit about Team Juniper. So their release was teased for a long time and anticipated for a long time, and nobody really knew what to expect. And when the DLC came out, Cory and I were freaking out, and we downloaded it straight away, and we got in and we were like, oh my god, these guys are better than Team RWBY. Like, it was amazing. We loved what you did with it, like the fact that they were so different from Team RWBY, and you know, they had all these interesting different abilities that Team RWBY just didn't have, and mixing and matching the characters from the different teams was awesome. I think Horde mode as well, Cory and I, when we first started playing that, we were totally out of our depth with what we were doing, and we just kept losing and losing until we figured out that Jean and Yang just kick ass. So
yeah, those power-ups,
and we smashed all the Horde mode maps with those two, so yeah. It's just been thoroughly an exciting experience to go from having day one of early access and watch the game develop as fans and as, I guess, play testers in a way, and watching it go through the different stages and watching the different levels being added as you go through time. I'm somebody who loves to watch things go through the developmental phases, so when it comes to RWBY, I'm very much like, I watch all the leaked footage, and like I want to see all the concept art, because I want to see the show grow as it gets developed, and like especially this latest volume, and you know, seeing the game go through its different stages and watching you guys grow as a team of developers and take on the audience feedback, good or bad, and really listen to what the fans want, even if you feel it's against your creative direction. Takes a lot of courage to do what fans of something want you to do instead of doing what you know is really best. And yeah, I commend you for that, and I commend you for your integrity as game developers as well. And you know, upholding Rooster Teeth's biggest policy, which is they give a crap about their fans and what the fans want. And it makes the company the best company in the world. I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. Like, I've had the pleasure with interacting with you guys, with Andy on Twitter. I interact with Alex Abraham a lot to do with the score for the show, and I've interacted with Jeff Williams before and Barbara Dunkelman before, and it's like, y'all are just so humble and like so willing to just commune with your fans and really listen to them and like do interviews like this completely like impromptu, and you know, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not humble at all.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were talking to the same Andy.
We have two Andys. That guy is more humble.
I'm a cocky piece of shit. Yeah.
I think one of my we should do a round table of this, but like one of my favorite moments just interacting with the community was at RTX 2015, I guess.
I was there as a fan. I was not an employee yet. Yeah.
I went up, and is that the first time I met you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went up to like the front of the line waiting to play RWBY, and I asked, "Hey, how long have you been in line?" And the guy said 2 hours, and I almost cried, and I gave him a hug. I was like, "Man, that's really cool." It stinks that the line was so long, but that's just cool to want to play the game that bad.
Yeah. It must be really cool to, you know, I don't know what that feels like, but having something that you've worked on so much and be so readily accepted by the fans must be pretty cool.
I'd say my favorite moment, unless you wanted to go first.
Okay.
My favorite moment throughout this whole development process was at New York Comic Con, and we had just released, like, Horde mode and Juniper were not available anywhere, but we had it at the convention.
Yeah.
And so fans could come play it for the first time, and like it had never been seen before. And we had a we started a contest after day one, because at day one nobody beat Horde mode after like the 10-hour day. Yeah. And then so Friday came along, because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so Friday came along and we held a contest. And we were like, all right, whoever beats Horde mode, you'll get these autographed posters. And we went all of Friday without anybody beating it either. And we finally got to Saturday. And the same groups of people were coming back. And they were like teaming up with each other because they knew that they played well with these other random strangers that they had never met. And when the first team won, it was like an esports comment. Like the crowd erupted. There was like a big crowd like surrounding everybody. And when they finally beat it, it was just like high fives and everybody's going nuts. Like everybody's cheering. It was awesome. And I got it on video and I gave it to Caleb, and I think he posted it like on the RWBY Twitter or on the RT Twitter. But that was awesome. It was really cool. Yeah, I have video of it somewhere, and he ended up posting it somewhere as well. But yeah, it was really cool and super exciting to be part of it.
Yeah. Oh god, I love this community so much. The Rooster Teeth community. Like, as I've been on YouTube for about 4 years, and I started making RWBY related videos after Volume 1 finished. And my channel sort of was going nowhere up until that point, and then the RWBY community embraced me and my videos, and it's like, ever since then, I've had so many opportunities that have been related to RWBY and related to, you know, Rooster Teeth in general, that, like, I have you guys to thank for everything that I have, basically. And, Cory as well, I know. He doesn't talk much, but I know that he feels the same way. So, yeah, and this game it's given us hours of entertainment and joy, and a lot of retries with Horde mode. I think when we first played Horde mode, I think we spent about 2 hours and didn't beat the first map, and we were like, what are we doing wrong? But figured it out eventually.
We lost several times too. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, and played the campaign countless times. We've both actually kind of recently just hit rank 10 as well. Yay.
Oh.
So we've spent a lot of hours in the game and thoroughly, you know, fleshing out everything that it has to offer, and, you know, we always go back to it. We have so much fun with it, and we'll be doing a full play of the campaign pretty soon, just because we haven't been able to do it previously because, you know, Cory lives in America, I live in Australia, and our other friend lives in England. So, like, it's difficult to coordinate time zones. Yeah, so, no, but we love the game, and we think you guys have done a fantastic job and can't wait to see what you come up with in the future.
Thank you so much. Well, we have Jordan Scott to thank. He's the one who started all of this. 100%. So, Jordan, I know you're out there watching.
Yeah,
not to mention, like, the massive animation department over there that are responsible for the beast that RWBY has become and are working their butts off every single day, much harder than us.
Yeah, much harder than us. Yeah,
seriously,
especially right now.
Much harder than us.
Yeah,
they're working right now.
Yeah,
we're this is like the time that we normally leave, and they're going to be here until like 9 or 10 or 11
These
or
poor bastards. But you know what? It's so worth it. They're making such an amazing show. Especially this volume has gone above and beyond our expectations. And
I agree.
It's been a fabulous volume, and we're looking forward to seeing the last 3 chapters roll out. And speaking of Jordan Scott, Cory and I actually played the original Grimm Eclipse when it was, you know, the little snow field just fighting endless Beowulfs. And, you know, again, to watch it start off as that and see what it's become now with the nurturing of Rooster Teeth. And the fact that you guys saw that this guy made this really cool concept and you went, we're going to grab him and make this as awesome as it can possibly be, is like, no other company on this planet does that. Like, so many times Rooster Teeth has seen something cool a fan has made, or in the case of Monty Ohm, oh my god, he's an awesome animator, let's bring him on and let him do his own show. And, you know, we wouldn't have RWBY if Rooster Teeth didn't do that. So, you know, I was a huge fan of Monty and his work. I followed Monty from his Dead Fantasy days, and I was somebody who was a fan of Monty before he came to Rooster Teeth, and, like, when he started animating for Red vs. Blue, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my god, Monty Ohm's animating, like, yeah, and
my worlds are colliding, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, worlds are colliding. And then when he made his own show, I remember watching the Red trailer for the first time and being blown away and thinking, oh my god, this is going to be the best thing ever, and it was. Yeah, so, like, yeah, as somebody who's a huge fan of the show, of everyone that's involved with the show, of the company, you know, I've been watching Bruce's Teeth videos for 8 years or something stupid like that. And, yeah, since I was a teenager, so, yeah, it's just, yeah, you guys, you've done a terrific job with Grimm Eclipse. We love the game, and, we can't wait to see what else you do.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
appreciate you having us on.
Yeah,
so much.
we appreciate so much you talking to us, and this will be a part of our next podcast for Chapter 10 of RWBY Volume 4. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming on to chat with us. This has been really awesome. And
Absolutely.
Keep up the
Thank you.
good work, and we look forward to seeing more from you in the future.
Thank you. Bye, Cory.
Right.
Bye! So that interview was absolutely awesome to do. The guys were really funny and really nice and really willing to answer all of our dumb questions. So we want to sincerely thank Andy, Jeff, and Brian for joining us for that interview. Seriously, like, the people at Rooster's Teeth are so humble and so willing to, like, do these, you know, lame interviews with their fans. So, yeah, so we want to thank those guys.
When you brought up that you were like, yeah, I'm going to see if maybe, like, Andy will come on the podcast, I was like, yeah, sure, ask, why not? He'll never do it. And then 2 days later, you're like, he agreed, and I was just like, excuse me?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, well, I knew from interacting with Alex Abraham that, like, you ask, and Barbara Dunkelman as well, you just ask them something, they're like, yeah, sure. It's so weird, like... any other company would be like, you know, you'd have to go through all these official channels, but they're like, yeah, whatever, let's do that, that's cool. And Andy watched our Let's Play of Grimm Eclipse way back in the day, and so...
I remember that. We fangirled so hard at the time.
I know, right? We were so excited. Yeah, they're really cool guys, and that was a really good interview to do. So hopefully that answered a lot of your questions about Grimm Eclipse. And speaking of which, you may have noticed in the interview we talked about the Australian release delay. Well, this morning, Grimm Eclipse tweeted that they are finally releasing Grimm Eclipse on consoles in Australia on the 27th of January. So they have sorted out the rating problems, and it will be out on the 27th, which is today. Oh, that's awesome. I just noticed it's the 27th.
I mean, it's tomorrow because I'm sure
I don't
that
know
they
if they mean the
American
27th
time.
there or the 27th here, but either way, it'll either be out today or tomorrow. On Xbox and PlayStation 4, on the PlayStation Store and the Microsoft Store, I think it's called. Xbox Store?
Yeah, I
don't know.
think so.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, there's no hard copies at the moment. Did we actually ask them about hard copies? I don't remember.
Ooh, I feel like we had it on our list.
But we didn't
But I don't...
ask. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be hard copies. I might tweet Andy later and ask. Yeah, so... Moving on, we have an episode to talk about, and this podcast is already over 40 minutes, so let's get on with that.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, and there's also a World of Remnant that we need to discuss as well on the Great War, so I know Cory's got a lot of notes written down about that, so we'll try and get through all of this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I wrote more for the World of Remnant than I did for the actual episode.
Yeah.
But it's because the World of Remnants are so full of, like, every second is
just,
information.
Yeah, information, yeah. It's a lot to, like, unpack and analyze. Okay, so we'll start off with the viewer questions. So we had a lot of questions this week, outside of the Grimm Eclipse questions. So Colsey Schnee on Twitter, I think, asked, what is your favorite Grimm design and favorite character redesign? So by that, I think he means the Volume 4 designs of characters.
I like Weiss's redesign the best. I'll say that. I can say that confidently.
We haven't seen Yang's yet, so I'm hesitant to.
Yeah, I know that was
say.
the other thing. Oh, I want to see hers.
I really like Nora's.
Oh, I completely forgot about the rest of Ranger.
Yeah. I really like Nora's, and I really like Jean's, and Ruby's.
Ooh, now I'm between Weiss and Ren.
I like Ren's too. I like them all. I can't choose. They're all so beautiful.
I
I
know.
like Blake's too. Blake's is really nice. Oh, I can't choose. Don't make me choose. Favorite Grimm though.
Velvets.
Velvet. Favorite Grimm. Oh, that's so hard. I actually think I really like the Nevermores.
I was gonna say, I really like the Griffin.
Oh, the Griffin.
The
Yeah,
Griffin
I forgot about the Griffin. Yeah. No, I don't like the Griffins because they ate Roman Torchwick. Yeah, I like the
Touché.
Nevermores. They're classic.
Yeah.
Stopped Gold on Twitter or Ruby Amino, one of the two.
I think that's Amino.
Yeah, he
I
asked,
think that's-
with the Arcos ship, which do you think would be Jean and Pyrrha's song, Shine, Dream Come True, or All Our Days? I don't think he's aware that Shine and Dream Come True are written about Arcos. And
yeah,
All Our
those are two-
Days...
They are
All Our Days is more Yang, Ruby, Summer Rose kind of thing, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shine and Dream Come True are actually about Pyrrha pining after Jean. Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I personally would go with Shine just because it was like the actual culmination of their relationship.
Shine was one of my favorites from the Volume 2 soundtrack? 2, thank you, yes. It's been so long, I can't remember. He also asked, in the first 3 volumes of RWBY, which would be your combat music from this list? I Burn, This'll Be the Day, Time to Say Goodbye, I May Fall, It's My Turn, Caffeine, Die, Red Like Roses Part 2, From Shadows, Divide, Sacrifice, or When It Falls.
Okay. Wow. I was like, okay, he's gonna list like 5 songs. Nope.
It's My Turn. Because I love Weiss. And I really like It's My Turn.
I think I'd go with Caffeine, just because it makes me just feel hyped.
Yeah, it so does. Sorry, there's a fly buzzing around. Australia in summer. Woohoo. It was Australia Day yesterday. So I'm all like full of barbecue right now. How very stereotypical. Kevin A on Twitter asked, why didn't Ranger take the train to Haven? Was their map so old that it didn't have train tracks on it? Were tickets too expensive? So a lot of people have been mentioning this since Oscar hopped on the train to go straight to Mistral, thank
Haven.
you. I was like, the city's not called Haven, that's the academy. Yeah, to go straight to Mistral. I think we can just assume that he is in a different part of the continent of Anima than Team Ranger currently are. And there's no trains where they are, I suppose. So, I'm actually surprised the trains are still running. But, you know. Yeah, so basically, I feel like he's more in the countryside sort of part of Anima, and Ranger is more in the wilderness sort of side of Anima.
Yeah, because they've gone through a lot of destroyed villages and stuff, so like that's not really a direction that like Mistral needs to get to regularly.
Probably not. Yeah, it's a heavily abandoned sort of area. There's not a whole lot of people living that way, I don't think. So yeah. William Oliver on Twitter asks, where do you think Ren's mum's death falls on the brutal death scale? At the bottom. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I know, because like Penny's was worse.
Pyrrha's
was worse.
Pyrrha's was
Torchwick's was.
Torchwick's
I think I'd almost put it just like a step under Torchwick, just because they were both like killed, like in the middle of saying something, and like, but just Torchwick's was just like tragic because he was like just gone
and very sudden. Yes. I think I'd go Pyrrha, Penny, Roman, Ren's mum. Anne, her name was. It was really sad, but, you know, as far as, like, the deaths that we've seen in RWBY so far. Oh, you know who else has died in RWBY? Tuscan.
Oh.
Tuscan.
I was gonna say, wait, no, it's Tuxin.
Tuxin. But, yeah. Actually, maybe I'd rate that one at the bottom, because we didn't even see it.
Yeah, I know. It was like, rah, I'm dead.
Yeah, basically. And Pisky and Waterbender on Twitter asks, What did you think of the awesome score they played this episode? I found myself heavily creeped out by it through the majority of the episode. I mentioned it in my reaction video. My reactions are coming, by the way. I'm still having editing problems. Yeah, I was thoroughly creeped out by the score, and I was loving it. The score is always exceptional.
The scoring was... Yeah, it was exceptional in this episode with just
It was, yeah.
I don't know. And that little bit of boop when they were...
oh my gosh! Okay, I have to admit something to you before you see my reaction. I cried 2 times while watching this episode. 2 times. And one of those times was because Boop started playing. So, yeah. Oh, that moment was just like too many feels to handle.
Yeah, the score in this episode just... I don't know, I'm not normally really affected by the score, or I'm affected in, like, very little ways that I don't notice. But, like, this episode, like, the score was very much something I noticed throughout the episode.
Yeah, it was very much
which is normal for me.
The score that I remember most prominently throughout this episode was, after Arn dies and it goes black for a minute, and then, Lee is running with Ren. There's like that violin that starts playing. I was like, ooh, I like this. And then that later transitions into Boop, and I was like, a mess by that point. He also asked thoughts on Ren's semblance. So this is something pretty important that we have to talk about. So it's not, they haven't really clearly explained what it is, but it looks like Ren's actual semblance is some kind of like liquid courage almost. So like he has the ability to calm himself and others down through touch, I suppose, and like give them courage, which is shown when the Nevermore is like he can smell Nora's fear, and then when Ren hugs her and uses his semblance, the Nevermore just leaves them alone because it can no longer feel their negative emotions.
So you think that that's his semblance? Because I was wondering if that was just, like, almost an effect of, like, him... I don't know. It seemed like it was almost some weird effect of, like, his aura being activated.
No,
so
I think it was his semblance, because after that happened to him, he sort of took a deep breath and calmed right down and then charged over to Nora and was like, we have to be brave. Yeah, so I think that was his semblance that they were showing there. It's really young for somebody to activate this semblance, but he went through a traumatic event, so, yeah. Liquid courage, that's what I'm calling it. And finally, first reaction to the Nuclevi Grimm, the Nuclevi Grimm. So, the thing that destroyed Ren's village is based on a creature from Greek and Norse mythology called a Nuclevi, which is basically a creature that's half human, half horse, kind of. So it had like wolf-like front legs, horse back legs, and the top half of a human sitting on it with extremely long arms that drag on the floor. That's basically what it is. I did read Wikipedia about this creature, but I don't remember what it said. I think it's some big bad, like, demon or some shit. Something like that. Yeah, so, really interesting to see a Grimm like that, because obviously, this Grimm is, like, one of a kind, the only of its kind sort of Grimm, and the amount of destruction that we've seen it cause, like it destroyed a whole village on its own, basically, with the help of, other Grimm being drawn to the chaos. And it's thoroughly terrifying from the little that we did see of it. And now it's returning, and Ren and Nora are probably going to go off and try and apprehend it, but we will talk about that a bit later. Phoenix Hyde on Ruby Amino asks, your opinions on Volume 4 so far? This is a loaded question.
It is. I don't know.
It's really hard to say when the volume's not finished. Let's
Yeah,
put it that
I
way.
know. That's the thing. Like, I'm gonna say one thing, and then when it's over, I'll have a different opinion.
Yeah,
But
basically.
I know the pacing of this season has been exceptionally weird.
Weird.
And screen time is, having them
Weird.
have to fight for screen time. Screen time is weird, and it's just, I don't know. But the animation is so good, and
I know,
like
the animation
the stories
has
they're
been
weaving
phenomenal.
are great. But like, the time constraint is what's killing them, I think.
I think they've taken a step forward in terms of animation, art design, shadows, lighting, rendering, all that sort of stuff, all that sort of technical stuff that makes the show look the way it does and feel the way it does. The score's been phenomenal, as always. The writing has improved this volume, I think. Just, the general, like, little scenes, between all the different characters, I think the writing has improved. The voice acting, I think, has improved this volume. I think a lot of the voice actors are being challenged in ways they haven't previously with the last 3 volumes, in that some of these scenes are really quite heavy. And, especially Barbara...
But not heavy in the way they were last season.
No. Especially Barbara has talked a bit about how different voicing Yang has been for her this volume. And what else was I going to say? I forgot now. Yeah, just but there's like little things like sharing screen time and not seeing enough of different characters at points, and and something we have to remember is this volume is basically this arc's volume 1. So there's going to be like a lot of technical, things that they have to work through. They have to work out, how to deal with the screen time and like sharing the stories between characters, and they'll get better at it. So like, it's a brand new arc. It's all uncharted territory from here. So like, after this volume, they're going to go into volume 5 knowing better what they're doing. So I feel like I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on all the little things this volume, and hopefully next volume they'll have a better idea of how they want to tackle all that sort of stuff. So yeah, opinion on volume 4 is basically, it's been pretty amazing so far, but there are a lot of things that I don't want to say that are wrong with it, just that
Are disappointing.
yeah, in a way, there are a lot of things that like I'd like to see improved upon in future volumes, definitely. Yeah, but the team has done a phenomenal job, as always, and I'm blown away by how the show looks. Always, every time I watch it. Lewis on Ruby and Mina asks, how do you think this volume will end, and how will it set up volume 5? That reminds me, I didn't mention that Rooster Teeth confirmed Volume 5's release for fall this year, so around October time again, we can expect Volume 5 to come out, which is exciting. And they also confirmed Volume 4's finale will be airing on February 4th. Now, this shits me, because I'm going to RTX Sydney, and as you know, they're doing a RWBY panel there where they're showing the finale live at the panel with Lindsay and Barbara. And originally, the panel was going to be on the Saturday, so it would have been the day before the finale was aired for everybody, for first members, sorry. But now the panel's been moved to the Sunday, so it's actually being released 5 hours later than everyone else is getting to see it. Which so really the reason we're going to the panel is to watch it live in a big room with an audience. But we're not seeing it early, we're actually seeing it late.
Or
I
technically,
don't
for
understand.
people who aren't sponsors, they'll get to see it a day early.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I suppose so, but I feel like a lot of the people that go to the conventions probably are first members. But, yeah, I don't know, it just seems a little weird to me, because originally they did say the panel would be Saturday, so it would be a full day early, and now it's like 5 hours afterwards. Doesn't make any sense to me, but, whatever. Ezra on Ruby Amino asked, what do you think of young Nora and Ren designs?
Well, we didn't answer that last question.
Oh! How do we think it'll end, and how will it set up Volume 4? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I was like, wait, the answer?
The answer is originally I think we said that this volume would end with everybody, like, converging on Mistral, but now I'm feeling like there's not enough time left.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that they will all... I've still said that I think that, like, the last scenes for everybody will be, like, them heading towards Mistral, setting destination, but they aren't going to arrive in Mistral. Like...
No, oh god, no. No, we thought at least Ranger would get to Mistral, but then all that shit with Crow happened, and it sort of set them back, so... I do think that the volume will end with everybody setting their sights on Mistral, but nobody's going to get there by the end of this volume. Not even Ranger. I thought that maybe Ren and Nora would get there, but now they're bumped into the Nuclear. Obviously, they're not going to. And how's it going to set up Volume 5? God, so, obviously, if this volume ends with everybody setting their sights on Mistral, it's setting up Volume 5 for let's all get to Mistral, kind of. So, of course, anything can happen from here, so... You know, they could throw a big dive bomb at us right at the end of the volume and fuck everything up, so... We'll see what happens.
Chapter 11's in 2 days. That's when the shit's gonna really hit the fan, I think.
I'm so afraid of Chapter 11. I'm so scared. So Ezra, what do you think of young Nora and Ren designs? So young Ren's design was basically Volume 1 through 3 Ren's design, just small.
Yeah.
So, not that much to say about that, but young Nora, again, basically what she wore, but...
She looks like what she would look like as a kid. Like, basically. She was wearing, like, cargo pants and, a pink t-shirt. Like...
The designs were appropriate to the characters, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And that's all of the questions. Thank you guys for submitting your questions. Remember, if you want to submit questions for Boopcast number 11 for next week, you can do so on Twitter, or you can go to my profile, SheNoob087 on RWBY and Muno, and join the Ask Me Anything chat that I've got on there. I forgot what it was called, and you can post questions there. Just make sure they are not spoiler questions. If you want to send me spoiler questions, message me privately. But Twitter, go for it. I don't care. It's Twitter. If you haven't seen the latest episode of anything, you shouldn't be on Twitter. It's a minefield of spoilers. And remember to follow Cory on Twitter as well, at Cory11333, at SheNoob087. Okay! World Remnant!
Yeah, that was... I'm very excited that they talked about the Great War. Also, this is something I heard a lot of people talking about. A lot of people didn't think that was Crow who was narrating it. And, like, I was like, no, that was obviously Crow.
That
like,
was definitely
he sounds like
Crow. It was definitely Crow.
I was confused why there were people who were like, is it Crow? I can't tell. Like, what's...
Yes?
I was like...
Did you even have to think about it? Like, just because he's dying doesn't mean he can't narrate the World of Remnants. Oh, yeah. So the Great War. We finally got to find out a little more detail about the Great War. Ozpin said something about it in Volume 2 that I don't remember.
He just talked about that was the reason they had the Vital Festival, I think.
And basically, like, they were trying to outlaw art and colour, but it wasn't really, like, explained who was on what side, who was at fault or whatever. So this World of Remnant helped clear a lot of that up. And obviously it was Atlas's fault. It's typical.
Yeah. It was Mantle's fault.
Mantle's fault. Oh yeah, Mantle. It was called Mantle before the war, that's right. Screw Mantle. Fancy trying to outlaw colour. What the shit?
Yeah. I know. It's weird, too, because, like, I can see the logic and why they would do it. Like, Grimm are attracted to negative emotions, so if people just don't feel anything. But, like, when has that ever, like, actually been a thing you could successfully do? Like, if you try to suppress people, all you do is let them fester.
Morons.
And if anything, you were inviting more Grimm.
Yeah, I reckon. Oh my gosh. And, like, I loved that they just thought the world would lay down and deal with that. Like, no.
Yeah, I know. Like, even Mistral, who agreed, was still like, Well, we'll make all the poor people do it, but us rich people can still do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Vale stepped up and said, "Nuh-uh."
So there was a king of Vale at that time as well.
The last king of Vale.
There were 4 kings, weren't they? Weren't there, of every kingdom?
Well, it was an emperor, and then they never specified what exactly, who exactly ruled Vacuo or Mantle. So they never specified.
There was an emperor of Mistral and a king of Vale, wasn't there? Yeah, and then 2 other dudes. Yeah, so the obviously after the Great War, they decided things needed to change, and they did away with the sort of monarchical society and took on more of a governmental, like a what's the word I want? Like democracy.
Democratic.
Democratic, yeah. I couldn't think of the word democratic. All I could think of was dictator. I was like, no, that's the opposite.
No.
Yeah, so I know you've got notes written down, so you take it from here, because I do not remember what was in this World of Remnant.
Well, one thing I thought was really interesting, the leader of Vacuo was a Faunus.
Yes, he was, that's right.
So that, I don't know, that was kind of a... I think that's kind of a neat insight into how Vacuo may still be, because, like, Sun is from there, and, like, it seems like a really Faunus-friendly place, so, like...
Yeah, the previous World of Remnant on Vacuo mentioned that it is very, I guess you could say, multicultural, in that there are a lot of humans and Faunus coexisting harmoniously. The rest of the world could learn a lot from Vacuo, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially because Vacuo stayed out of the fight until they were like, actually, you know what? No, you're bullying people. We're not going to stand for that.
They basically
even though we're a bunch of liars and thieves.
They stayed out of the fight until Mantle and Mistral were at their door. Yeah. And they were like, nah, fuck this. You guys get off our land.
Yeah. But the thing about the episode I found most interesting is they talk about the last battle of the war and how the King of Vale personally led it, armed only with a scepter and a sword. And, you know, he, after the battle, a very bloody battle, he was the warrior king. A lot of people are talking about how they think that Jean's great-grandfather is the warrior king.
Maybe.
But the thing I noticed was the warrior king's sword, its hilt kind of curves down, whereas Jean's curves up.
Interesting.
So I'm kind of like, plus also, it's only been 80 years. You think that people already would have forgotten the warrior king's family or lineage or anything like that? So I'm kind of like, interesting idea, but no. But another thing I found interesting, they talked about, is that historians, when talking about that battle, that bloody battle, talk about how it was actually, it's hyperbole, and that some of the deaths were due to unusually violent weather patterns. So I'm kind of like, were the maidens there? And that's why...
Possibly, yeah.
Because, and one more thing, I've been keeping my ear out for this all volume, is with Oscar, when Oscar and Osmond were talking, they had the memory of building Haven. And they talk about how the Warrior King built the schools. And that Osmond's predecessor was the one who built the schools. So that means that the Warrior King was the predecessor of Ozpin.
Yeah, it's funny though, because Ozpin says to Oscar, I helped build that school. But does he mean him, or is he saying I, because the same thing that's going on with Oscar is what happened to him with Ozpin's predecessor? So, like, his memories from his predecessor, perhaps.
Yeah, because Ozpin says, I helped build the schools, but then when Crow was telling the stories the next episode, he said Ozpin's predecessor. So, I think that it's just Ozpin continues to have those memories.
Yeah.
And eventually they hit, Ozpin's memories and all the past lives, whatever, memories will just merge with Oscar's, and it will kind of just be this amalgamation.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, I know that. Those were the things I noticed in the episode, was like, are the maidens there? Is, the King of Vale related to Jean? I don't think so.
No.
And that the King of Vale was Ozpin, and technically Oscar.
Yeah, their predecessor,
Yeah.
yeah. Very interesting. I'm tired. It's pretty early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to hear about the Great War, and I think it was mentioned in another World of Remnant this volume that it kind of blew our minds a bit, was that Mantle and Mistral and Vale and Vacuo were allied together. Because originally we just assumed it was a free-for-all kind of everybody's fighting everybody, but that wasn't the case. There were two definitive sides to the war. My cat is being adorable over there. Sorry. Yeah, so I really don't remember what was in that World of Remnant. My god, I only watched it once, so and that was a week ago. No, more than a week ago. It'd be 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Time is going too quickly. I can't keep up with it. Yeah, was that basically all?
Yeah, I mean, they talked about battles and ceasefires with Grimm and stuff, but not much.
Kinda. If you want to
It
know
was
about it, go
devastating.
and watch the World of Remnant. I'm sure they explain it very succinctly in there.
All the interesting stuff was at the end.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so chapter 10. So this chapter was called Kurayuri, and the thumbnail was Little Ren. So when we saw that on Twitter, we exploded with excitement. Because also, I want to mention right now that after we saw the chapter and how much they went into Ren and Nora's backstory and how they basically explained everything about where they came from and why they are orphans. Well, Nora's situation wasn't explained. Yeah.
Yeah, where Ren's backstory.
But it also explains all the little, kind of moments Ren and Nora have had leading up to this point. Like when they saw the footprint that we now know as the footprint of the Nuclevi. They both recognized it. They'd seen it before. And then when they saw the sign for Kurayuri, Nora went, oh, and all those little moments that happen between them gets explained in this episode. And Nora's situation wasn't explained. Obviously, she was orphaned when she was young. Who knows where her parents went. And she kind of found her way to Kurayuri, I suppose. Yeah, so I want to say that because they have now gone so in-depth into their backstory and they've shown us that the Nuclevi Grimm is back and that Ren and Nora are most definitely going to go and engage it next chapter, this has completely 100% marked Ren for death. Just saying! Prepare yourselves now, because I feel like chapter 11, Ren is going to die.
No, that's a finale event.
Nope. Chapter 11, he's gonna die.
No.
Yep.
Nope, chapter 12.
No,
Nope.
I'm telling you now, chapter 11, Ren is going to die. I can feel it coming.
I think chapter 11 is going to focus on Weiss and Blake. I think we've seen too much of Ranger recently that they're gonna...
Oh, you think it's gonna skip
after
them
that
for a chapter
cliffhanger,
now?
I think it's going to skip them,
Oh, you
especially
could be
just
right,
because
yeah.
of the way they ended it.
Yeah, you could be right.
It's like cliffhanger, and now you have to wait a week.
I forget about the other characters. I'm so, invested in Ren and Nora's story right now. Yeah, no, you could be right. So chapter 12, Ren is definitely out of here. Sorry to say it, I don't want him to go either, but I'm emotionally preparing myself.
After we saw that thumbnail, my entire body was just like, no. They're marking him. He's being marked.
They can't kill Nora because there will be riots and no one will watch the show anymore, so it's going to be Ren. If they kill them both, I'll be angry. I'll be livid if they kill them both.
God, Nora is going to destroy the world if Ren dies. When Ren dies. No, if.
And, just the way she was talking to him in chapter 10, he's like, are you okay? And she's like, I've got you here, don't I? And I'm like, oh, he is so dead. Like, every little thing that gets said, I'm like, he's gonna die, he's gonna die, he's gonna die. And then Crow is obviously gonna die as well by chapter 12, so...
And then
I'll
he
be
gave Nora
amazed
that
if he
look,
lives.
too.
Hmm?
He gave Nora that look, too, that was like, you know, after she said that and then walked off, where he was like, that look kind of finally cemented in the fact that, oh my god, he returns her feelings. He has them, too. And that was the moment I was like, he's gone.
Literally,
He's dead.
okay, so this show has set a precedent for sailing ships and then immediately crashing them into the iceberg that took down the Titanic. So, like, they did that with Arcos, they will do it with Renora, or whatever the ship's called. I don't even know.
It's Renora.
Renora. Why not call it Boop? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, prepare yourselves, because Ren is not living out this volume, and neither is Crow, so we're at least losing those two.
No.
Yes!
I have faith in Crow.
I
have faith
will
in
be gobsmacked if Crow lives. I will be gobsmacked.
Well, prepare to be gobsmacked.
No, there's no way! There's no way. He is so dead, it's not even funny. Cory really doesn't want Crow to die.
Listen, I'm
I keep
accepting
saying
Ren.
to him,
You
look,
can't take
prepare
Crow from me."
yourself. He's going to die, and you're like, no. No. Yeah, exactly. That thing that you do. Yeah, but definitely, say your goodbyes to Ren now. Appreciate him while he's still here. Because he will be gone by chapter 12. Probably in chapter 12. Yeah, now that you say it. So chapter 11, yeah, I agree. It's probably going to focus more on Weiss, Blake, or Yang, or some combination of the three.
Or all three.
I don't know, because I feel like the finale really should have everybody in it, but I don't see how they could possibly fit everyone in the finale. So I feel like it's going to be a two-part finale between chapter 11 and 12.
Oh, so you think they're going to finish up two storylines and then the other two?
I feel like they're going to finish up Weiss in chapter 11, and they're going to finish up Blake in... Blake might be chapter 12, because she still has to have a confrontation with Adam, and that I feel like that's a finale thing.
I know. I feel like the finale is going to be quite long. Just...
Yeah, I agree. I think the finale is going to be like last volume's finale kind of length. I hope so.
Yeah. I know. I think that the confrontation with Adam might be in 11, simply because...
I'm not ready for that.
I know,
So
because
much
I
is
don't know
going
what
on.
much more they could do with Yang. There's only so much they can do with Weiss right now. Like, Weiss only has so far to go.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why I'm like, if they could really focus this next chapter, like, on moving Weiss's story forward a little bit,
Yeah.
and then kind of taking the big leap that they need to get Blake's story closer to finished for this volume,
I feel like
and then show them all in the last
I
one.
feel like they'll probably wrap up Weiss in chapter 11. I feel like she's gonna... I feel like we're gonna get probably quite a bit of Weiss, and it's gonna wrap up her story for this volume, and she's not gonna be in the finale.
I think if they'll wrap up at least like the imminent danger part, kind of, or her getting, but they'll like still kind of have some maybe like mission set up for her in the last one, like 2 or 3 minutes of screen time.
I don't know that she's going to be in the finale at all, just because she's had so little screen time throughout the whole volume, because really they've had to... A lot of her story could have been condensed into one chapter on its own, probably. So, like, her entire involvement in this whole volume is one chapter's worth of content. And, like, I feel like they're going to wrap her up in chapter 11. I really do. Because the only thing that
I
she
think they
needs
have
to
to show
do...
them.
The only thing she needs to do from here is what they set up last time we saw her with Klein. She's obviously going to ask Klein to seek out Ironwood so she can seek his help to escape. And that's like all that's really left for her story now. So I feel like they could definitely wrap that up in 11. I'll be surprised if she's in the finale.
Well, but I mean, like, they could do that, but like, there's still the part of like, Weiss needs to set up like, how does she have to get out of Atlas? Does she have to, is she joining the military? Why is she going to Mistral? Like, there's still some stuff that she's going to have to do with Ironwood that, like, I think could take up 2 or 3 minutes of screen time in the finale, and, like, that's all that she needs. So like that's why I kind of feel like she'll finish her escape in this next episode, but I don't think she'll like, and it'll almost finish her. Like she'll be like 98% done.
I feel like they're going to be so stretched with screen time in the finale as it is, because we haven't seen Salem and her crew since chapter, 7?
I mean, we technically saw Hazel
them?
in this one.
Yeah, but, like, we haven't seen what's going on with Salem or Cinder. We don't know where Watts is right now. Tyrion still has to go back to Salem. We haven't seen that yet. So either that's going to be this chapter or the finale. She's going to be pissed. So is Cinder.
Now you see what I mean, where there's just not enough time left to wrap up everything they need to wrap up.
They either need, like, a super long 40-minute finale, or, like, they're not going to wrap shit up. And they're going to have to wrap at least 2 characters' storylines up in Chapter 11.
I still say they have to show all 4 girls in the finale. Like, that's why I think they'll just get 2 of their stories close to completion, but, like, leave a little bit of time to show them, like, kind of near the end of the Chapter 12.
I mean, everybody was in Chapter 9? Yeah, last chapter. Everybody was in that chapter, and that chapter was 18 minutes. Just with the 4 girls. Like, they each got not an even amount of screen time. Like, Weiss got the least, of course. But, you know, we had a decent...
Actually,
yeah,
I
Weiss
was going to say
definitely got
Blake
the
might
least.
have, but yeah, it was Weiss.
Blake's bit with Ilya was quite long. Yeah. Yang, we got a decent chunk of Yang, a little bit of Weiss, a fair amount of Blake, and a fair amount of Ranger. So, like... And that took 18 minutes just to do those 4 storylines in, like, a few minutes each. So, yeah, they're going to be so stretched for time in the finale if they try and fit everybody in, which is why I think Weiss is getting wrapped up in Chapter 11. But, yeah, I don't know, like, there's just so little time left. I really don't know how they're going to finish everybody up in 2 chapters, unless they're long chapters. Ugh. There's no time
I just thought of this. Wasn't there... I saw a question somewhere on one of our videos from a viewer that was talking about Raven. I think it was on last week's... or last episode. Because that was
You're
the
right,
question I
there
was
is
telling
a
you about
question in the
earlier.
YouTube comments. Yeah, I must not have put it on my my document. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Carry on with the episode while I try and find it.
Okay, God, have we even really, like, started discussing the episode? We've kind of jumped around a bunch. But, yeah, okay, the episode started with Oscar actually leaving.
Yeah, finally.
And he, you know...
Took him
I know, he talked about how he was, like, feeling like he was doing the right thing, blah, 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 went to the train station, bumped into Hazel.
I know
and
where it is. It
Ozpin
was on
knows
The
Hazel.
Walking Dead. That's where it was, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
it's right
it was
here. Let me just
interesting.
load it.
Okay.
Here it is. Pisky and Waterbender. Yeah, I already wrote it down. Yeah, no worries. We did get that question. Okay, cool.
Wait, we did answer it?
Yeah, I did write it down.
The one about Crow and Raven's semblance.
Oh, Crow and Raven's semblance. I don't remember reading anything about that. I don't think that was a question. I think... Oh, I saw somebody talking about, like, the good luck, bad luck thing, but I don't think that was a question. Yeah, no,
there was
I
definitely,
think...
they were asking our opinion on it, I thought.
I think... Yeah, we talked about a bit about that, I think. And I think it's been talked about to death in the fandom.
Oh,
like...
you... Really? Because there was one thing I wanted to bring up last time, was that it was a theory I didn't know was going around at the time, and it was something I just looked into and was like, hey, oh my god, this could be a thing, and didn't realize that a lot of people knew about it.
Sorry, I keep yawning.
Okay, on with the episode.
Yeah, so, sorry, I'm, like, my brain is going. Oscar finally left, and he's heading towards Mistral. And he bumps into Hazel, which was interesting. So we know Hazel is, what's the words I'm searching for? I can't words today, apparently. he's on the path to where did Salem send him again?
To see Sienna Khan.
That's right, he's going to see Sienna Khan. Why is he
That's
in Mistral?
That's the thing. I think that maybe Sienna Khan is in Mistral somewhere.
Weird, because we assumed she was in Menagerie.
Yeah, I know. So
That's just blown my mind a
it's
little
kind
bit.
of a thing.
I totally
could
forgot where
be
he was even going.
That could be the reason that Blake will then kind of go to Mistral, is because that's where Sienna Khan is.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I keep yawning.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Ozpin knows him, though. Says that he
Ozpin
is
knows
someone
him,
from my past who should not be taken lightly, I think was
Yes.
the quote.
Yeah, I think so. So obviously Hazel's been a part of Salem's little posse for quite some time. And Ozpin has had dealings with them before. He probably knows Tyrion and Watts as well, then I think it's safe to assume. He didn't know Cinder, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is I don't know if he... What if Hazel just recruited... Or what if Salem recruited Hazel just because, like, he was somebody from Ozpin's past, and... Or Ozpin just recognized, like, a dangerous person, and then Salem was like, hey, I like you, dangerous person. Because I can't imagine that, like, Salem would want to, like, recruit people that, like, oh, my biggest enemy, like, knows who you are and knows you work for me and stuff. Like, that kind of seems like get discovered and I kill you kind of a thing.
Hello.
Aw.
He came over for a cuddle.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, like, this show is always so vague with that kind of crap. Like, it never explains anything until, like, 3 volumes down the track. It's really annoying, actually, because I just... Every moment like that raises so many more questions than it answers.
And then the answer's always so unsatisfying.
They
where
are!
It's like, oh yeah, they went to school together. And it was like, well...
Well, there goes my
why
theory.
did you make such a big deal of it?
Like, I feel like the fandom says that so many times. There goes my theory. It's always so much simpler than we think it is, which is why I try not to over-theorize on shit. But, like, are you right there, dude? Look at his face. He's staring at his brother over there. What was I saying? I don't fucking remember. I feel like by the time we get to the end of the show, there's going to be so many questions left, they will not have time to answer them. The show is going to be left with a load of unanswered questions, because every time shit like this happens, it brings up about 1,000 questions and answers maybe one. I'm just going to play with my kitty.
This is another thing. I watched Volume 3 again recently, and something that all the fandom was positive would be like an actual important part of Volume 4 that hasn't happened. Penny's creator is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Like, he's just...
I feel like they're leaving that for this volume. There's too much going on this volume as it is. They could not possibly fit that in.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not disappointed that we haven't seen him. I'm just kind of like... I hope they have plans to, like, do something there at some point, though.
Volume 5.
And not just that, like... And not that just Penny was just, like, the first 3 volumes and then, like she was literally just there for Pura to murder.
Basically, yeah.
Like, I certainly hope not.
So much fur. You fluffy cat. Yeah... Volume 5, I think we'll get back to all that sort of stuff that was, like, a lot of things disappeared from this volume just because of the time constraints, like, Neo disappeared, the other teams disappeared, like, you know, people that were still wondering about, like, where is, like, Team Coffee, what's up with Team Funky, what's happening with the rest of Team Sun, like, you know, they had all this awesome stuff with, like, Velvet in Volume 3, and then they disappear into the ether. Like, Neo vanished, and we still don't know where she is or what she's doing. And you made an interesting point when we were chatting the other day that one of Salem's posse was sent to meet with a contact in Vale, which, who was that? Was that Watts?
He was meeting contact attacked in Mistral.
Mistral.
Not Dale.
And you theorized that could possibly be Neo. It might be, but I don't think we're seeing Neo this volume at all. There's no time left.
I mean, I know. Also, the kind of theory about... I think that whoever Watts' meeting is someone who's supposed to be important to setting up the fall of Haven, and I don't know if Neo would necessarily be that, but, like, I wouldn't be disappointed if it was Neo just because I want to see her again. No.
Do you want to get down? Oh, Mommy, let me go. It's too hot for cuddles. Okay. Bye-bye. He's so weird today. He's been following me all around the house looking for cuddles, and then when I actually cuddle him, he's like, fuck off. Okay.
He's a cat.
He is a cat, yes, but he's normally the nice one. The other one's the butthead that doesn't want a social interaction. Okay. Yeah, so... God, I so cannot remember which order this episode went in, and we're taking forever to talk about this. Yeah,
Next came the RWBY and John entering Kuroyuri.
Yes, that's right. So they went to Kuroyuri, and obviously the place is trash. And John reckons he knows why Ren didn't want to go there. Because obviously Ren and Nora...
RWBY's still oblivious.
Yeah, Ren and Nora must have explained to John and Piero about their backstory at some stage, like where they came from and, you know, why they have no parents.
I still don't understand why RWBY couldn't piece it together. Like, she literally has all the exact same information we do, and RWBY's just like, why is he so upset about this village? It's like...
Well, like I said,
orphan.
like, Ren and Nora probably told John and Piero something about their past, but Team RWBY wouldn't have that knowledge. So, like, John knows more than RWBY does at this stage, I think. Also, RWBY's pretty clueless in general.
Yeah, I know. But so we were all, like, the entire fandom collectively, like, oh, that's Ren's village. And, you know, and, like, all the scenes were, like, when they mentioned they were orphans, RWBY was there, and, like, you know, when he got upset about villages being destroyed, RWBY was there. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, RWBY, could you please just, like, turn on the brain box just a little bit?
RWBY just exists on such a plane of innocence that it goes into obliviousness. Like, she just wants to think that nothing bad ever happens to anyone ever.
Sure.
And she's just, like, she's totally clueless. I don't think she picks up on that sort of thing, like the other characters do. So then from there, it goes straight into little Ren, who was adorable as crap. And his mother was voiced by a relatively prestigious anime voice actress whose name has completely escaped me now.
Yeah, I looked up all of them, and I can't remember. Yeah.
The first thing that struck me about young Ren was his voice, which I found really strange at first, because he has a totally different accent. He's British.
He's like Asian British almost.
Well, see, the person that voiced young Ren is a Japanese woman.
Yeah.
Which I was like, why does he sound British? It was so strange, yeah. Just like I got used to hearing it after a while, but at first I was like, I don't know about that.
I know. That's the thing I hate about, like, children in, like, voice acting, is they're always voiced by women, but, like, in this instance, it was so obvious that Ren was voiced by a woman that I was almost like, you okay there, Ren? What's wrong with you?
I can definitely hear that the voice actress was Japanese as well. Like, she has a Japanese accent, but like it's like a Japanese person trying to sound British, which was it made this really weird sort of intonation in the voice, and like it was.
I
odd.
liked it, but
odd.
It was very different from Ren.
Yeah, the voice definitely didn't feel Ren. I mean, Neith Owen voices the older Ren, and he's also Japanese, but he has, an American accent. So, yeah, well, at least when he speaks English, he does. I don't know, like, Neith lives in Japan, as far as I'm aware, so, yeah, I suppose it makes sense to have like a Japanese person voice the young Ren, but it just sounded like she was trying to be British. It was just bizarre. Mm-hmm. And like she was, you know, saying things like can't and plant, but it sounded like somebody who's not American trying to speak like an American speaks and sounding British with a Japanese accent. It was really weird. I didn't know what to make of it at first. I feel like a lot of people had the same thoughts about the voice. A lot of people were like, yeah, I don't know about that. But, you know, it was one small scene. We're probably never going to see young Ren again now, because older Ren's probably going to cark it. So, yeah, it doesn't matter in the great scheme of things. Stop that. I see you pouting. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but, yeah, a little jarring at first. Ren's mother was lovely, of course. They had to make her lovely so we care when she dies.
I know. The second I felt that twinge of, oh, I like her, I was like, don't do this, Heart.
Don't do it.
We're not
don't
ready
like
for
her.
this.
But you can't help yourself. I was the same. I was like, oh, she's lovely. Don't. She's going to die. You know she's going to die. In
we
like
know she's
10
dead.
minutes. And a lot of people pointed out that Ren's father, Lee, looked like a character from
Overwatch. He looks like Hanzo.
Yeah. I was going to say Destiny.
I got
like, no,
that
not Destiny,
immediately.
Overwatch.
Yeah.
He kind of really reminded me, actually, of like those old Tekken characters, like on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
You know, the big long ponytail and like characters from not Onimusha. Yeah, Onimusha. Yeah, and that kind of thing. Like, you know, old sort of Asian style fighting games and RPGs and that sort of thing. He looked like he belonged in that world. His design was cool though. I liked it. One detail that I found really sad is that Ren has An's eye color, which is kind of cute.
I know.
And his father's hair color, so he's like a little bit of both of them.
Well, actually, the thing about his hair color is his father has black hair with like white patches, like streaks. Yeah. Like he's got the little white here, and then he also had white in other parts of his hair. And Ren has the same thing, except instead of white, it's pink, like his mom's hair. Yeah. And that's what I think is really adorable, where it's like, I really liked that design aspect, because I was like, he really feels like genetically their child.
Their child,
like, you can see exactly. that in his.
You can see them in him, which I think is really important when you're like, especially because his parents are gone now. It's kind of cute that, like, they kind of live through him, and, like, you can see a bit of each of them in him. Yeah, so the water flower scene was really cute, and like when she's like, why did you inherit my sass, and smacks him on the ass and he just runs off. I was like, oh, I'm dying of cuteness. It was adorable. And then like he's trying to buy weapons and sake.
Yeah,
Sake,
yeah, I know. He goes up to buy sake, and I'm like, I was like, this guy should definitely not hand this child a bottle of sake.
He just looks at him and is like, no. Yeah, really cute. And then he runs across some kids bullying little Nora. And obviously at this point, little Nora's parents, who knows where they went, she's all alone. She's filthy, hasn't had a bath in quite some time, stealing moldy bread. Yeah, so I didn't realize at first that knowing that little Ren was going to be in the episode meant that little Nora was going to be in the episode. So, like, I remember we were talking...
really weird moment.
We were talking about the episode, like, oh, we're going to get to see Ren's story, and then I had this, like, light bulb moment of, oh my god, baby Nora!
Well, we'd also been mentioning, like, Nora and talking about Ren and Nora and stuff in the episode. And I kind of thought we were talking about, like, seeing flashbacks of her and stuff. So that's why, like, we've been having this conversation, and then you just all of a sudden went, oh my god, we could see baby Nora. And I was like, I thought we established that already.
No, like, I just didn't make the connection in my brain that, like, Nora being in the episode meant baby Nora. I was like, I didn't make that jump. And then, like, I had that moment of, oh my god, baby Nora. And she was adorable, and the whole thing was just like, I was squeeing from cuteness. It was, yeah. I was a little surprised, actually, that Ren kind of ran away from the bullies and then bumps into his dad. Obviously, the Ren we know now is very different to how he was as a child. He was not a courageous child at all, until his semblance activated. I think his father gave him that courage, and his father is a lot of the reason why his semblance activated as well. Because, you know, he's always telling him, you've got to take action, you've got to have courage, and like, and his father was a brave man, obviously, he was a hunter. Not a huntsman.
How dare you?
No,
How dare you?
He wasn't a huntsman. He was a hunter. There's a difference. He wasn't
Did
a
they say that?
huntsman. No, because he was a hunter in the sense that he hunted for food. Because remember when he comes back after the Nuclevi invades and he says to Arn, "I saw the beast. We need a huntsman."
Oh.
He
Well,
wasn't
I thought
a huntsman.
that meant.
He was a
thought that
hunter.
meant-
Yeah.
I thought they were arguing because she was like, "No, come with us," and he was like, "No, the village needs a huntsman." Like I
No.
thought that was what the conversation was like.
He said, "We need a huntsman." So he wasn't a huntsman. He was just a hunter. Yeah, important distinction. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I didn't catch that.
yeah, he just hunted for food. Like he didn't fight Grimm or anything. So not a huntsman, hunter.
That seems weird. Like, why would you not do both?
Well, I mean, they lived in a remote village, so when would he ever have attended an academy? I suppose he just learned to hunt from, like, his father. You know, it's passed down through the generations. There's probably several hunters in the village. But, you know, when the Grimm invade, they rely on huntsmen and huntresses to help them out, I guess. What was I talking about? I don't remember.
Ren running from the bullies.
Oh, yeah. But, like, again, he's just a kid. How old do you reckon he was? Like, 8?
I was gonna say I would probably put 8.
Yeah.
Because didn't he say that the village was destroyed like 10 years ago or something?
He says
For
that
some
village
reason,
was destroyed years ago. Yeah, he says years ago.
Oh, so it wasn't.
Yeah, but I think 10 years is a safe assumption. He looked about 8 years old. So, yeah, what happened next? I don't remember.
Okay. See.
We went to Ranger after that, didn't we?
Yeah, I went back to.
John and
Yeah,
Ruby.
back to.
So, there was a really adorable moment in here. It was the first time I cried in the episode as well. Where, like, you know, Ruby's like, "I'm so sorry, this isn't my fault, like, I dragged you guys into this, and now we're all in the shit, and Crow's dying, and, like, it's all gone to hell." And John's like, "What the heck are you talking about?" Like, and he says something really cute, like, oh, that's right, he says, "You didn't drag us along, you gave us the courage to follow you." Because despite everything that she's already lost and could still stand to lose, she still wanted to do this because she felt like she could help. And that's the kind of person that Ruby is. I think she does inspire people to follow her in that sense.
Yeah.
She's
I just like how
filled with
Ruby kind of finally
conviction.
had a vulnerable moment too.
Yeah. Ruby's very filled with conviction. Like, if she thinks that she can do something good, then she will strive to try and do that. And, like, when John said, you know, you gave us the courage to follow you, I was like, ah! Instant tears.
I just kind of liked the parallels to back in Volume 1 when she was giving Jean the pep talk of, you know, you're a leader now, Jean. You know, you have to think of others. And then Jean basically kind of gave her... And Jean kind of gave her a leader pep talk back now. And I was like, yes.
And, like,
and then I really wanted them to hug.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait, no, don't hug him. He kills people.
I know, right? He hugged Ren, and now Ren's gonna die. Ah, it's like the Achievement Hunter curse, but in hugs. Yeah, that moment made me so emotional for the remainder of the episode, and like what was still to come was really emotional as well. So then, like, Ren's village gets invaded by the Nuclevi, and like it's all doom and gloom. His mother gets crushed by the house, which was pretty brutal, but yeah.
That camera angle, though.
Yeah.
The second they changed to it, I was like, she's gonna.
Yeah, like, the camera angle was just like, it's okay, darling. I'm like, and roof. Basically. Yeah, that whole setting of, like, the village getting attacked something they've done well this volume is a sense of panic when stuff like that happens. Like, you know, there's people running everywhere and nobody knows what to do, you know. And, like, it reminded me, actually, weirdly, of the opening to The Last of Us, where, like, you know, they're driving through the city as all hell is breaking loose, and there's just people running everywhere, and, like, it's chaos, and there's burning buildings, and like, nobody really knows where to go. They're just running. And that's kind of what this felt like, which was really felt very genuine. And one thing I will pick on about the animation in this episode is when Lee was firing arrows at the Knucklevi. Because, like, he looked like he wasn't even aiming at it.
Yeah.
He was kind of, like, aiming to the left. It was really weird. And also, the way he was pulling out arrows and firing them just looked really strange. It didn't look very
I
natural.
agree. Also, like, that was the one moment I felt like the panic that they had built up, like, the way that he moved almost lost that panic.
Yeah, it wasn't
like,
urgent.
because you feel like in a panic you would be like, ah! But
he had
instead
no
he was just
urgency,
like,
yeah.
Ugh.
There was,
And
yeah,
it was
exactly.
like-
It was too slow, and I feel like they were doing that, like, they were trying to make sure that the animation looked smooth, but all that did was make it look really slow. And, like, there was no sense of urgency in his actions. He was just kind of standing there like, I'm gonna die. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what was going on with that, but, yeah, then Ren runs and hides, and the crying was a little weird too, the way that they animated that. It's just kind of like just constant streams down his face. I think they're trying to make it look like, you know, in animes when they have those tear streams down their face. But, yeah, I don't know, that felt a little strange. I feel like I like the way they animated the crying in Volume 3 better than the way they did it here.
With the, like, welling up on either side of your eye.
And then the teardrops, yeah. Yeah, and then his semblance activates, and he sees Nora across the way, and that whole adorable moment happened. And then, like, when Boop starts playing and he reaches for the little hammer and hands it to her, I was a mess. I could not handle that.
The second that he went up to that blacksmith at the beginning, and, like, he held up the little toys, and I saw the toy hammer, I was like, he's going to give that to Nora. He's going to give it to Nora.
Look at you seeing 5 steps ahead. Something that I saw on Tumblr that was really interesting was the knife that Lee gave to Ren, which was his knife. If you look really carefully at the shape of the knife, it is the same shape as the blades on Ren's guns.
I don't think it does, though. I don't think it looks... because
it absolutely is.
It's not curved enough.
No, it is. I'm gonna post the Tumblr blog somewhere if I can find it. No, after looking at, like, the 2 pictures next to each other, I'm like, that is absolutely the same shape. But I feel like they modeled the knife after Ren's weapons, not the other way around.
Yeah.
To sort of draw that kind of parallel. Because, like, when Ren was handed the knife, I was wondering, like, why doesn't he have that anymore? Like, you would think he would keep his father's knife. But, yeah. It's definitely at least made to look like that, I think. Yeah, and when he handed Nora the hammer, I just couldn't handle the cuteness. I know. And I found it also really interesting that his parents called him Lai. I suppose, like, Lai is his first name, Ren is actually his last name. But everyone just calls him Ren. I guess Ren is easier to say than Lai, and Lai sounds kind of weird, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, I found it cute that they called him Lai rather than Ren, because everybody else calls him Ren. And I would have thought Nora would at least call him Lai. Because when he introduced himself, he said, "My name is Lai Ren," but she calls him Ren.
Maybe it just, I don't know, almost became like a personal choice of, like, he wanted to be remembered by his family's name.
Maybe.
not by his name. Like, he almost wanted to carry on the legacy of his family, and not of himself.
Ren's lotus blossom symbol is actually the symbol of his village, which now no longer exists. Which is
Yeah, with the second they walked into the village, I was like, Ren's symbol.
Yeah, it's always nice to know the origins of the characters' symbols, because they always do mean something to the characters. Like Nora's, I think, is kind of obvious, but and obviously Nora doesn't have a family, so like the origins of her symbol are her own. So it's really related to her, whereas Ren's is related to where he comes from and his family and his village, and that lotus blossom is like very symbolic for him. Yeah. Lost my train of thought at the end of my sentence there. So yeah, final scene of the chapter, we go back to Big Ren and Big Nora, and they're climbing up that damn mountain. The scene they had here was really nice, because we don't get to see Ren and Nora alone. Like, ever since Team Juniper was formed, we've basically never seen Ren and Nora without the influence of Jean and Pyrrha.
Yeah, like, there was a scene where they came back from the carnival in Volume 3 where they were alone, but, like, Nora was still, like, it was still, like, their aloneness was because Jean and Pyrrha were together, and so Nora was like, oh, let's get out of here.
Them in the scene was for the benefit of Jean and Pyrrha as well. So, like, it wasn't a scene for Ren and Nora, it was a Jean and Pyrrha scene. And Nora's like, let's go back to the carnival, Ren. And, yeah, so that was basically the only time we've seen them alone ever since. And, even, like, that scene in the bedroom in Volume 2 where Jean is, like, confessing his feelings for Weiss to Ren while he sat there in a pink towel. And Nora's in her PJs. Like, the whole team is there still. So, yeah, it was nice to have just a Ren and Nora moment, especially after all of that backstory sort of stuff, and we get a whole new outlook on their relationship and their characters. And, you know, they're being way too cute right now, and it's killing me, because Ren's gonna die, and they're gonna get split up, and it's gonna be so sad! And I'm gonna cry like a baby. So the cave, the Knucklevies cave, is filled with weapons. And Ren finds one of his father's arrows in there.
That's weird, like...
Yeah, it's been there for a decade.
Trophies.
A decade?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, like, does this thing really keep trophies, or, like, why?
Why would a Grimm keep only the weapons of its victims? Just the weapons. And, like, the occasional flag. Because he finds the flag from Shion in there.
Grimm don't need to eat, though. That was the thing that was established early on. Because I was like, I wonder if it eats its victims. But they said that Grimm will eat their victims, but don't need to. Like, they don't need to feed. It's just almost a personal choice.
And, like, we know now as well that the Knucklevi was responsible for the attack on Shion village. And Ren finds a flag from Shion in that cave that hits him in the face. Oh, that was funny. I forgot about that moment. The only way to find God. I love how they managed to ruin, like, really serious moments with a really funny thing that happens, but it's nice. Like, you don't want it ever to get too serious, but yeah. So, like, for this Grimm obviously isn't like any other Grimm, and we've got to throw out everything we know about Grimm when it comes to this thing. Because it's, like, it has come from Shion Village to obviously dump all these weapons in the cave, and now it's heading somewhere else. Very strange behavior for a Grimm. Like, I mean,
also, like, this Grimm has a very large hunting area, because, like they said, it has been weeks since they were at Shion Village. Like, weeks. And so, this thing has also, like, traveled weeks from its cave, like, that's weird. Like, this Grimm, I mean, they say that Grimm don't have intelligence, but this one is clearly, like, been alive a very long time, is intelligent. Like, I almost think that it is kind of almost a general of the Grimm, sort of.
Yeah. I think we can safely assume that this Grimm is very old and cannot be treated on the same level as other Grimm. You know, it's obviously is intelligent. It's collecting trophies Like, what Grimm does that? Grimm don't do that. So, like, obviously, it bears some sort of, like... I don't want to say it has emotion, but the reason for collecting trophies is, like... It shows some kind of attachment. Like, it's
or memory, or pride.
Specifically weapons from the villages that it's destroyed. Which is very odd behavior. So,
Because that's the thing, too, is, like, these aren't just weapons that, like, it pulled out of itself. Because, like, I thought about that with the arrow, but there are, like, hammers and shields in there and stuff. Like, those...
yeah.
Like,
Spears.
they're not just pointy weapons. Like, there are blunt weapons.
Yeah.
And you can't get a blunt weapon stuck in you. Well,
No.
I mean, you could, but that would be...
You'd have to have a lot of force to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just very bizarre. And, like, I would like to learn more about this Grimm, but I feel like we're probably not going to learn a whole lot about it. Because I feel like it's going to be dead soon. I feel like they're going to...
I know. I almost wish that there was, like, time for, like, folklore, area folklore.
World of Remnant, the Knucklevi. Please make that happen. Yeah, it's very curious behavior for a Grimm. Absolutely. But I feel like it's... You know, as interesting of a Grimm creature as it is, it's going to be kind of... I feel like Ren and Nora are going to kill it, but at the same time, it's going to kill Ren.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that they're going to... I don't think it's just going to be Ren and Nora. I think they're going to meet up with the rest of Ranger.
You think?
Yeah, because I think Ren and Nora are going to pursue it into Kuroyuri.
You think it's heading back to Kuroyuri?
That was where it was headed, because you could see the village down there, and you was headed in that direction.
I didn't see the village. Oh, do you know what? That would make sense, because RWBY and John and Crow are there, and they'll be emitting off negative emotions like you wouldn't believe right now. So, it could be being drawn to them. Oh, shit. Well, that's not great.
Wow, I can't believe you didn't realize that.
I don't draw these
parallels
parallels
it'll be a team
sometimes.
battle.
I just, like, I have to be talking about it before I'll actually think about it and go, oh, crap. Yeah, so it's heading towards Kuroyuri, so they're going to have to follow it there and then team up with Jean and RWBY to try and take this thing down, but it's definitely going to kill Ren. That Grimm is going to be the end of Ren. Calling it.
I know. I still think there's something about that flower that Ren was obsessed with. There's something about it that it just doesn't... It seems almost mystical to me. Because, like, they showed the flower when Ren activated his semblance or his aura or whatever it was that happened there. And they showed it then. They showed it dying right before they cut back to the thing. Like, this flower is somehow important, and it's somehow tied to Ren, I think.
I don't know.
And that's why I'm
just
interested to see what happens.
I don't
when
know
Ren
if
goes
it's just
back.
like symbolism for his
That's
you know,
what I think.
symbol, or like, I don't know if it's meant to be symbolic or if there's something more going on behind it. I feel like it might just be symbolic and we're reading into it too much, as we tend to do, but I don't know. Yeah, there could be something behind it. Who knows? It could just be a flower, or it could be something more than that. But
I know. Maybe I've just seen too much Avatar where I'm like, yes, Ren will die and he will bring back the spirit of this flower, and the flower will grant everyone happiness.
This is RWBY, mate. That's not going to happen.
No.
Everybody's going to die and it's all going to be shit. It's a very different RWBY to how it was in fucking Volume 2, I'll tell you that much.
I know.
And
I know,
like,
we used to be like, hey, what could possibly go wrong?
well, I feel
and
like...
now we're like, what could possibly happen?
Because people are talking a lot at the moment about the Team Juniper death theory, which is that, you know, all of Team Juniper are based on people from mythology and people from history that
They were
died.
martyrs.
That were martyrs, yeah. So Jean is based on Joan of Arc, who was burned at the stake?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was burned at
During
the
the French
stake.
Revolution.
And they're gender-bent versions of the people they're based on. Pyrrha is based on Achilles, who died after taking an arrow to the Achilles tendon, which is what happened to her, but then she took one to the chest as well. Nora is based on Thor, who was poisoned by Jormungandr and died. And Ren is based on Milan, who... It depends on which account you read. Some people say Milan retired from the army and lived. Some people say she was killed horribly. Yeah, but some accounts say that Milan died. So, I mean, she would have died eventually of old age anyway. But, yeah. So, every person that Juniper is based on died in their stories. So, you know, there's this theory that every person in Team Juniper is doomed to death. Now, we've already lost Pyrrha. We're definitely losing Ren. I don't think we're losing Nora or Jean as well this volume. That would be too much. I really feel like it would be too much.
No, not this volume. God, no.
I mean, we're still healing from Pyrrha, for God's sake. They keep throwing that shit in our face. Oh my god.
Here's the thing. We don't even know Jean's semblance yet.
No.
Like, Jean's got some story reasons to still stick around.
Jean is safe
I think,
because we still don't know everything about him that we need to know.
Yeah. And also, Jean just seems too important to the story. That's the only thing, is like, back during Volume 1, they talked about how Jean and Pyrrha were, like, important parts of the story, and then Ren and Nora were just invented to fill out their team, and then they became kind of an important part. But, like, Ren and Nora are still kind of, like, they weren't as important to, like, the overall story as Jean and Pyrrha were. So I'm kind of like, Jean's got a long way to go.
They, I mean, shows evolve over time. Like, Monty, you know, especially, like, by the time he got to the end of Volume 2, it was probably a totally different show from what he was, you know, planning at the beginning of Volume 1, you know? Like, things evolve over time, you add things to the universe, you make these characters that turn out to be so much more than what you thought they were going to be, Roman Torchwick. And, like, you know, and a show is never is at the end what they thought it was going to be at the beginning. So, like, so much gets added onto it, and that's the same with every story. Like, it's like writing a novel. You have this clear plan at the beginning, and by the time you get to the end, you don't know what happened in the middle. Like, yeah, but, like, Jean is safe, and I don't think Nora's gonna die this volume either, because I almost feel like it would be more tragic if Ren dies and Nora lives.
Yeah, it would be more
tragic. Because now
tragic,
Nora has to be without Ren. So I feel like they're going to do that because it's worse.
Mm-hmm. We would lose, like, God, everything about Nora is so comic relief in everything. But, like, God, sad Nora or depressed Nora or angry Nora would be horrifying and awful to have. Which is why I think that we will get that iteration of her.
I feel like Rooster Teeth are not afraid to kill characters that people love in service of the story. Like, if it needs to happen, if the story demands it, they will do it. They proved that with Pyrrha. So, like...
that's the only thing about Ren's death that still can't wrap my mind around, is I don't see why it's, like, like, Pyrrha's, obviously, it needs to happen. I don't see what Ren's death would serve a purpose to the story as.
I feel
currently, I mean, like...
I feel like it's just, you know... I'm a firm believer in the Team Juniper death theory, so, like, I feel like eventually all of them will be gone. And, like, Ren just seems like the logical next victim to me. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
But... Like, and you know, like I said, like, if Ren dies and Nora has to live without him, that's worse than if they both were killed. Because then, not only does Nora have to deal with living without this person who's been with her basically since she was a child, and now we would have to endure watching her go through that. And that would be worse for us, I think. Which is why I think they're going to do it. Because I
still don't see how that serves the overall story. Like, I, you know, as a tragic story device, but, like, I don't see how it serves the story.
I mean, Ren was probably not going to be around for much longer as it was, because obviously Monty used to voice him and Monty passed away. And now his brother voices him, but Neith lives in Japan. So it can't be easy to get Neith over to voice Ren all the time. And... yeah, I really think this is his last volume for several different reasons. That being one of them. And it's the same reason why I think Crow's going, is because of his voice actor Vic Mignogna. And also, like, Crow's death does kind of serve the story as well. I feel like Crow has to die in order for RWBY to grow up a little bit.
Oh, I hope not.
I really
I'm
feel
so
like
worried.
he has to. I feel like
I'm
Crow's
so
death
worried.
serves more purpose to the story than Ren's does. But Ren's just seems inevitable at this point. Kind of like Pyrrha's. Like, Pyrrha's death was inevitable because she made the decision to go in and face Cinder even though she knew it would kill her. Probably. So, you know, we saw that coming from a mile off, and we see this coming from even further away. So, yeah. I still think both of them aren't living out the volume. Sadly. But I'm just, like, preparing myself mentally so that when it happens, it doesn't shock me. And
It's going to shock you. It's going to destroy you.
It's not going to shock me because I'm ready for it, but it is going to destroy me on the inside. But I don't want to be shocked by it because, like, I don't like... I was shocked by Roman's death. I wasn't shocked by Pyrrha's because I saw it coming, and Penny's I saw coming.
We saw Penny's coming before the volume started.
Yeah, basically. And, like, Pyrrha's, you know, we all knew what she was going into, and we all knew that she wasn't going to live. Yeah, so I'm just trying to prepare myself so that I don't feel quite so bad when it does happen. If it doesn't happen, I'll be happy, let's put it that way, but it's definitely going to. Oh, I'm gonna cry so much in the next 2 chapters, I can already tell. I have such post-traumatic stress from last volume as well. Like,
I know, they
10
literally
through
have
12.
traumatized. They have literally traumatized the fandom after last volume.
I'm so afraid of chapter 11 because of last volume. I'm so afraid. Oh my God.
I don't want anyone to die because this was supposed to be the volume about healing and grief and learning to deal with being alone and all this stuff, and like, just if they killed 2 more people or 1 more person, it just it would add on so much.
They never promised that they wouldn't kill anyone this volume.
I know they didn't, but still, it just...
I mean, the gloves are off now. Like, they killed 3 characters in volume 3. So, like, and one of them was a seriously important character. So, and a character that everybody loved. And, oh, no, they killed 4. They killed Ozpin. We always forget about Ozpin. But, like, he's not really dead. He kind of, like, he's living on through Oscar, so... But I'm kind of sad we're not going to see Ozpin anymore. We're going to have to see him through Oscar.
I'm still not entirely convinced. Like, I'm convinced that Ozpin almost has a way for both him and Oscar to exist separately. I'm just... Because... Why wouldn't they have showed us his death?
Because
if, like, that was literally the end of Ozpin's body.
Maybe because he was going to come back in this manner. And they didn't want to, like... They didn't... I feel like they didn't show us his physical death because they wanted to keep the question open. And they wanted us They wanted us to keep wondering, is he dead? Is he alive? Like, what's going on? And then they spring the Oscar thing on us. And then we slowly start to realize that he is actually physically dead. And that now his soul, I suppose, is transferring to Oscar in probably the same manner that Ozpin's predecessor transferred to him. Because he talks about what's going on with Oscar having happened to him. So, I think that Oscar's quite a bit younger than Ozpin might have been, though. But because of the extenuating circumstances.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just, that's the other weird thing, is, like, Ozpin was so old, like, well, he was so old that, like, I feel like he should have had, like, somebody kind of, especially, like, he knew something was happening, like, he should have had a successor set up who was, I don't know, not 16, 17, however old Oscar is.
He's pretty young. I want to say like 15, 16. He's kind of short, so...
Yeah, I think he's around Ruby's age.
Yeah, around that, yeah.
I don't think he's quite like. That's why I'm putting like 15 to 17 because I don't think he's 18.
Do we think that Oscar's gonna get to Mistral by the end of the volume?
Well, I mean, he's on the train, so
yeah,
like,
I think it's pretty
so.
likely that he's gonna be the only one there by the end of the volume. It's interesting. Yeah, so like Oscar / Ospen will probably end the volume in Mistral, and everyone else is still in their way. As far as Yang's concerned, I feel like her and Tai Yang need to hear something about what's going on, but like they need something to kick them into gear towards going to Mistral. Alright, so sorry about that. I've actually run out of recording space on my computer. We talked for 90 minutes. I didn't realize it was that long. So, we're gonna have to say goodbye really fast. 2 hours. We have to say goodbye really fast because I have no more space. I have 10 gigabytes on my hard drive. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for Chapter 11. Bye!
Bye!